You want to make more money, to have better relationships, and to achieve every goal that you have. There's one problem: you're not there yet. With this video, you'll have the formula to transform your life in the next 3 to 6 months. It's time to make the greatest comeback of your life.
Failures are personal.
Yes, and I got this next project. There's no end to it.
You'll never make any money. Take it behind the barn and shoot it.
I'm tired, Alfred.
Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs?
Failure has been achieved. Now, the only place to go from failure is to win.
You've been trying your best, but nothing works. You try to make career progress and it goes nowhere. You try to talk to people and you get rejected. You set the same goals every year that now seem impossible to achieve. Instead, you smoke, drink, scroll, whatever you can do to avoid these emotions. The truth is, the bigger the goal, the harder it will be. But the only way to win is to get better. I went from hopeless and tired to this channel reaching 1,000 subscribers. A goal that I've been trying to reach for the last 2 to 3 years. Except if you don't have what you want, you simply need to get better. This means taking extreme accountability for whatever results you currently have. Yes, there's a lot of things we don't control, but are we doing everything that we can? In the book, The 48 Laws of Power, law number 36, disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. This means to focus on what you can control. Apply this analogy to your goals. We can't control money or relationship, but we can control how much work we put into our business and into ourselves. There's hope. Things can change quickly. Doing the work doesn't guarantee you'll get these results, but at the end of the day, all we can do is what we can do. And if we're not doing that, then there's no excuse. So talk is one thing, but action is another. What do we do to win, and how do we do it? Number 1, I dare you to disappear and lock in for 3 to 6 months. Leave your familiar habits. Block out all the negativity and distraction and just ghost. When you come back, you will be unrecognizable, new, and improved. Legit, after the last 3 months, people don't even recognize me now. But there's a clear way to do this. Number 1, identify what you want to achieve. So if you're gonna do a bunch of work, you need to know exactly what you need to do. So step 1 of any problem is identifying the problem. Figure out what you actually want and what needs to change to get there. Next is set clear goals. Instead of just saying, I want to make more music or better music, set SMART goals. So SMART goals mean specific, measurable, attainable, realistic/relevant, and time-based. So once you have your goals, set a clear plan of what you need to do. So start with that ultimate goal. Within 6 months, this is what I need to do. Then you take it by month. So each month, I need to have this done. Then you keep checking down. What do I need to do every single week? What do I need to do every single day? And finally, you take it to actually the hour. How much time do I have each day and what I need to do each hour. Finally, you need to actually disappear. Unfollow everybody or uninstall the apps. No hanging out or going to parties. Whatever you need to do, actually disappear and commit. And if this sounds extreme to you, if you want extreme results within 3 to 6 months, you have to be extreme.
Everybody should change.
We're gonna commit to a process called monk mode. But before we do that, we have to reinvent ourselves completely. It's natural to not want to change. That's just human nature. We want to stick to what we've already done and stick to the habits we already have. That's why this first part, the change itself, is the hardest part of the process. So at this stage of the process, we're going to plan exactly what we really want to change. So create an extremely detailed list of exactly what you want to change. The biggest thing with this is to focus on 1 to 3 macro goals at a time. So for example, it could be the gym, music career, and self-improvement. That's already 3 things. And the problem is when you start to add 4 or 5 things, it becomes really difficult to actually achieve anything, especially in such a short amount of time. And I've learned this by experience. So what we want to do is focus on 1 or 2 goals and just really focus on those. But ultimately, we want to concentrate our forces, concentrate our resources, our time, and our energy as much as we possibly can. That's why disappearing and getting rid of old habits is so effective, because we'll clear up so much time and energy that we now have to put to our main goals. Next, we get into the actual monk mode. So monk mode is essentially an intense period of focus, with specific things that you do and don't do. Ultimately, it revolves around the concept of atomic habits. And to quote something from the book, Atomic Habits, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And you've probably heard this advice a million times before, that habits are important, but when you actually do it, you realize how important they actually are. Everything becomes so easy when you actually make it a habit. If you have the habit of only eating healthy and only buying healthy food, it's actually harder to go to a fast food restaurant because that's not what you're used to and that's not your habit. If you have the habit of getting to the gym at a specific time every single day, when that time comes, even if you don't want to go, your body naturally is used to it. So, of course, monk mode is a protocol adaptable based on your personal needs and goals. But whatever your goals are this year, If you follow monk mode correctly, I guarantee that you will achieve your goals. Seriously. Next is you want to take it personal. The more reason you have to change, the more likely you are to change. So instead of trying to avoid your emotions, this monk mode protocol, this disappearance for 3 to 6 months, it's not about work-life balance or being happy in every single moment. It's gonna suck. Going to the gym 5 times or 6 times a week, making music constantly, whatever your goal actually ends up being, it's not gonna be fun every single day. And in today's world, more and more people are giving into nihilism and hopelessness. But at the end of the day, if we do the work that's necessary, more than likely we're going to be successful. The hard part is actually doing that work because, again, to a lot of people, the work it takes just isn't worth it. But if you're still watching this video, you probably agree that you're willing to do whatever it takes. Now we get into how. Everything before we figured out why and what we actually want to do. Now we got to get into how we're going to do it. So the protocol involves non-negotiables that you make for yourself. The non-negotiables are going to be 1, some kind of mental exercise. This can be meditation, gratitude, etc. Essentially what this is going to do, it's going to keep our mind focused. The thing about a lot of these habits and everything we're trying to do, the hard part is the emotions that get in the way. So this mental practice is going to eliminate that. Number 2, some kind of exercise routine. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could literally just be going for a walk for 5 minutes. But of course, exercise, you release endorphins. And it almost puts you in a completely different mood when you're exercising versus when you're not exercising. Number 3 is getting rid of all your unnecessary distractions and whatever coping mechanisms you have. When you get rid of things like excessive social media scrolling, alcohol, drugs, things like that, you realize how much time and energy that's actually taking up. And finally, one clear goal that you can take persistent action on. So my personal monk mode routine right now, essentially I made a habit tracker in Excel to track exactly what I get done every single day. And so basically at the very beginning, when you first start, it's going to be extremely hard to get all these things done every single day because it sounds like a huge list. But back to the atomic habits thing, it just becomes a system. It becomes something your body naturally does every single day. So getting to the gym is just natural. I'm going to go at a specific time. Nutrition, I already know exactly what I'm going to eat. I've weighed it out on the food scale. I know exactly how much I need to cook, when I need to eat, etc. Content and business, just an hour and a half each, so 3 hours of work, which is really nothing. Even if I'm busy from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., there's really no excuse not to just get 3 hours of work in. And again, these are non-negotiable. And it sounds super easy, just 3 hours of work, but when you're really doing that every single day, again, it's easy to say, hard to do. So that leads me into the next step, which is take action. And I want to ask you, what if you can't find the answers to your problem because you already have them? You watch videos about business and all this other stuff in the hopes of finding some secret. And of course, it's important to educate yourself. I learned a lot of music production from online and a lot of these self-improvement habits from videos like this. So there's definitely some good to it. But at a certain point, you know it needs to be done. At the end of the day, it's just taking action and actually doing it. We all know we need to look good, make money, be confident, and work harder and smarter to get what we really want. It really is that simple. But simple, again, doesn't mean easy. So again, back to the distraction thing, cutting out cheap dopamine. You'll have to get this dopamine from actually doing the work. The only content I consume now is either educational or inspirational content. Things that are actually going to move me forward. So a few things that actually helped me on this journey is just cut out all the cheap dopamine. You know, you can make a bunch of rules to yourself and try to stick to them. But at the end of the day, if you just cut out anything that you think is cheap dopamine, you'll have a lot more energy and focus. And you'll have to get it from working. So think about it this way. So if my only options are to sit here or do the work, you know, I might sit here for 20 minutes doing nothing. But eventually my mind's gonna get bored, and the only other option is to get this stuff done. So I'm gonna do it. It becomes easier. Versus instantly having to be able to just go on your phone. Next is to consume educational and inspirational content. So when we're truly disappearing, no longer doing a lot of our old habits, feel like we're the only one doing it. But then you look online and you can actually find a bunch of other people on this journey. So even down in the comments below, you can probably find a bunch of different people following self-improvement and making sure they do everything they can to succeed. So instead of consuming sports, entertainment, drama, things like that, consume things that are actually going to move you forward. And that's just personally what I do. That's what I found helps me the most. It's also why I make this content. And finally, the thing that helped me the most, any negative emotion you have, anytime you don't feel like doing something, understand it's going to be rough. If you actually embrace that instead of running from it, it actually becomes 10 times easier. The thing about discipline is just willpower. But instead of relying on willpower, instead we're just going to make habits and just do them no matter how we feel. And a warning / disclaimer from the negatives that I've seen from this is, number one, you want to stay healthy. So once we disappear and commit to our goal, when you're being really strict about what you're doing, sometimes you forget about the little things like laundry, cleaning. If you don't have nutrition in your monk mode, it can be easy to forget about that. It can also be easy to forget about sleep. But of course, these things are energy that fuel your habits. Another thing is to not lose sight of what you're really trying to do. And the next thing is to be careful of what your goals are and why you're setting them. For example, I tried looks maxing, but the problem with it is I became more insecure and had a lot of acne from the stress of obsessing over how I look all the time. I definitely made improvement, but I lost sight of the actual goal that I had in mind. Again, just make sure you're careful of exactly what your goal is. And why do you really want these goals? Why do you really want to make more money or have this thing? And that's part of the meditation practice. And the only thing that can really end this journey is quitting. Most people don't win because they quit. And the thing is, for a lot of people, there's nothing wrong with quitting. This isn't for everybody. And you might start to realize that the work you have to put in to achieve this thing isn't actually worth having the thing. That's why so many musicians quit, because they get into it, they just want to have fun playing piano. They realize how much work it actually takes. Again, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to put in all that work. But if you're still watching this video, I'm assuming you're willing to do that work. I think it's super important. So I'm just gonna recap exactly what you need to do. Number one, we're gonna take accountability. What's in our control and what's not in our control. At the end of the day, we just need to make sure we're doing what we can control. Number two is to set clear goals and a monk mode routine. So what are the goals that can actually be achieved? Then what are habits that are actually gonna lead to that goal? And even create a timeline of what you need to do month to month, week to week, day to day. Finally, we're gonna disappear and abandon old habits. So all of our time and energy, as much as we possibly can, is going to go to these habits and to our goals. Of course, you might still have to work a part-time job or whatever you need to do, but as much time as we possibly can is going into this. And finally, we wanna take action consistently. So have a habit tracker, have a whiteboard, have a journal, whatever you need to do to track your habits. So you actually have that self-accountability. You know exactly which habits you got done on which day. Finally, number five, remember why you started. When you're disappeared, you're not hanging out with anybody, you're not on social media, you're not doing any of this old stuff, it can be easy to forget why the heck you're even doing this in the first place. So just remember exactly what your goal is, why you started, and even remember the negatives that pushed you to start this extreme in the first place. And I can guarantee you, if you start this now, 3 to 6 months from now, you're gonna be a completely different person. Again, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. I'm gonna keep trying to make the best videos possible. And so I'm the perfect example. It took me like 2 years to get 300 subscribers. And within the last 6 months, I've gotten to 1,000. I'm guaranteeing you will achieve your goals within the next 6 months. To see what my last 6 months look like from the very beginning, make sure you watch this next, and I'll see you there.